Well, we're here. At least we hope we're here. Just as a heads up, we have been having internet issues all week. So we're going to see if we stay on there this morning. It may or may not happen. Appreciate your patience with all of it. But one way or another, get ready because we're going to put on the brakes, grab a cup of coffee, enjoy the conversation. It's time once again for Coffee Breaks with Steve. Oh my goodness. Welcome to the not only the last Saturday in 2022, but the last day in 2022. And I'm seeing if I can even see. There we go. And welcome to Coffee Breaks with Steve. I see that Corianne is here. I think I saw that Kathy Garlick was on here. If you are with us this morning, if we're with you, make sure that you say hello in the chat and take part in the conversation as far as we're able to make it happen. Once again, I'll tell you something. We're going to be talking about what a year it's been. I would just start by saying what a week it's been. To start with, our internet service provider notified us last weekend or at the beginning of this week that they'd be doing some upgrades or something early this week and should have it done within a day. Well, by the end of the day, they were working on it and we had service interruption that day. We got notification that they didn't finish everything and they would be working on it the following day. And we have had, at best, extremely spotty internet since then. So I'm aware of the fact that we may be getting very broken transmission. We may even lose the transmission today. We'll stay on as long as we can. We'll do the best we can and appreciate your patience as we work with here. And just say hello to, I see Carissa's on here. Jim Mockford, you're welcome, Jim. It was a pleasure having you on as a guest. As a gift, you were a gift as well. And just thank you for taking part in it. Thank you to all of you for being a part of Coffee Breaks this year. We'll talk about a little at the end, assuming that we're still here at the end. Carissa's here. I know that Moderator Cat is on the gift of guest. That is correct. And as you join the conversation, please do say hello in the chat so we know you're here. Once we get into our conversation today, make sure in our topic that you, if you are able, participate with us as well. A few things just about the week that it's been, because this ties into how we end the year. I mentioned already internet issues. They were supposed to have it done in a day, and something came up, and we have been having intermittent issues. Makes it sound like we've got internet part of the time. This is as close as we've come to being able to do anything. And I'm on the side here on Facebook, and it looks to me like it's very spotty. You can let me know if that's the case, but it looks like we're kind of breaking up and coming in and out. So we'll do the best we can. And prior to that, earlier this week, we were getting ready to do our Christmas celebrations. On Christmas, we do it internally, just Kay and I. This year, we did have some family here, and we did a little bit of our Christmas. And then the plan on Christmas night was that the first of our family would be arriving as our two oldest grandsons were flying in from California, and they were scheduled on a flight on Sunday, Christmas Day evening on Southwest Airlines. I may not need to say more than that, other than to say that we weren't aware that there were any widespread issues with Southwest until about 3 hours before their flight, when they were supposed to be, actually, they were on their way to the airport. We got word that their flight was canceled. We still weren't aware of how severe Southwest issues were until they went ahead and went to the airport with their dad to try to talk to a gate agent. Anytime we went online, Southwest automatically scheduled them on a flight like 4 days. It was going to really disrupt our family plans for the rest of the family coming in. They would have arrived yesterday. And the bottom line was that we went back and forth trying to get them on a Southwest flight. Second flight that they were on got canceled. We had my daughter and her husband, Lan and Dustin, who you've heard of and seen on here, drove from, they were already in Spokane, drove from Spokane to Redding, California. Remy and Jameson's dad drove them from Tracy, California up to Redding, and they rendezvoused there. And then Dustin and Chelan basically did an almost immediate turnaround and drove the boys back about 14 hours each direction, with only about a 3 to 4 hour gap in between to try to catch a few hours of sleep. We do have all the family here. We were able to do our late Christmas celebrating yesterday. And now we're sort of trying to get the rest of our activities in and wrap things up. And some of our activities had to do with some movies we were to watch for the holidays that, internet issues. Hey, what are you going to do? So, and I can see once again that we are having issues here. We may make this a very short broadcast today. We may not try to stay on for 45 minutes because that's a tremendous waste of your time if we can't do everything we're supposed to do. If we can't get it all in today, we'll kind of combine the topics next week. We'll talk about our year in review. We'll talk about the year ahead and work all into one show. I'll share a little bit here about some of the special days coming up this week, and there's some birthdays that I want to wish. So we'll at least get that out of the way and yeah, see what happens. But let's see. We have to New Year's Eve, of course. Tomorrow's the first day of 2023. Tough, but hard to believe that, really. And the funny thing is, I guess it's not that funny for some people, January 1st is also Hangover Day. And I don't think we need an explanation as to why that is. And then the Monday, the 2nd, is World Introvert Day. That's the day that introverts get to be, introverts are introverts whenever they need to be. I'm kind of an introvert. A lot of people assume I'm an extrovert because of some of the activities I'm involved in, because I do engage openly with people. I'm really an extroverted introvert. Some people call that an introvert. But Monday is your day if you're an introvert. If you're an extrovert, you don't need a day. You're out there all the time. Tuesday, January 3rd, is Festival of Sleep Day. I think we all, maybe after we go through all the holidays and all the festivities and all the hubbub, we all need to catch up a little bit on our sleep probably. But it's the Festival of Sleep Day. It's a day to celebrate catching all disease that you need to. You know, they say that we should be getting a minimum, as an adult, a minimum of 7 hours of sleep a night. I'm wondering how many of you actually get that. How many of you are able to get in at least 7 hours? I see Rick's on here. Hello, Rick. Once again, mentioning we are having severe internet issues. I know that our transmission is hit and miss right now. We're going to keep the broadcast short today, and hopefully be back up and running next week and kind of make up for it. But it's kind of maybe that is in and of itself just a good way of describing what the year's been. It's been a year of upheaval, hasn't it? Tuesday, Festival of Sleep Day. It's also Humiliation Day. Now, let's clarify what that is, because I looked it up when I saw that. I thought, really, we need a day to humiliate people? No, it's actually a day that we're supposed to recognize the negativity of humiliating people and focus on doing the opposite of humiliation. Find ways to reach out to people, to be encouragers, to be uplifters, and that type of thing, and to help share with others and teach others the dangers and the negativity of humiliation. So that's what Humiliation Day is. It's not to humiliate, it's to unhumiliate. Wednesday, January 4th, National Spaghetti Day. How many of you are spaghetti fans? If so, what is your recipe? Are you a homemade spaghetti person? Do you actually even make your own noodles? I know people who do that. Do you make your own sauce? Do you have a favorite recipe? Some people like spaghetti without the tomato sauce. They like it prepared other ways, spaghetti carbonara or things like that. What is your spaghetti preference? Let's see. It's also trivia day. I put that in here because I'm a trivia fan. I like trivia of all kinds. And obviously, we're talking about trivia right now by sharing these days. That's trivia. And do you remember the game Trivial Pursuits? I think it's still out there. You can find it. I know you can find computerized versions of it now. I'm drinking more frequently because I got a frog here. I think you can hear that. But anyway, also because coffee's a good thing. Trivia Day is also Wednesday. And then skipping to Friday, Friday the 6th is Bean Day. Celebrate beans of various kinds, I guess. We baked beans, green beans, whatever your bean is. And we're going to celebrate that on Friday. And Friday is also, this was another I had to look up to clarify, Cuddle Up Day. It's a day you may have a significant other you can cuddle with, but the site said you can also cuddle with a stuffed animal. Some people have a cuddle pillow. Some people have things, but it's a day, again, I think, because we come through all the hubbub and the hoopla of the holiday season and the year just ending, a new year beginning. Sometimes it's good just to snuggle up somehow. And some birth week. I think I missed one last week. I don't think I called this one out. And one of our regulars on coffee breaks, and Jerry Zetterval had a birthday a couple of days ago, the 28th. So belatedly, I want to wish Jerry a happy birthday. And I have a cousin, Christy McKay. Christy is my cousin who lives not that far away, lives right across the border from us in Idaho. Christy is celebrating a birthday this coming week on January 3rd. So happy birthday, Christy. And then Anne, you have a birthday coming up. Yeah, let's see, what did you say here? You mentioned it. Yeah, Bean Day is your birthday. That's right, because your birthday is this coming Friday. So happy birthday, Corey Ann, on January 6th. All right. Well, listen, I want to say hello. Google says Mizithra. Google says Mizithra. I don't know. You know what I'll tell you about? Who said I eat spaghetti with maple syrup and gas moderator cat? Christy, by the way, hello, Christy Knox. I should have said hello to you earlier. Yeah, and I want to tell you, Christy, brown butter and Mizithra is also my wife Carol's absolute favorite. In fact, she does. We found a couple of stores that will sell Spaghetti Factory's Mizithra blend in a little container. And when we can't find that, in fact, for this week, we had family in town. Carol wanted to make spaghetti with brown butter and Mizithra, and we couldn't find the prepackaged Spaghetti Factory Mizithra. So she actually got a block of Mizithra and a block of, there's another cheese that Spaghetti Factory uses with that. I can't remember right now, but she made her own blend and did butter and Mizithra on her own. So but we're with you on that one. And Carla's on here. Hello, Carla. If you're on here and you haven't said hello yet, we're doing our best. I know we've got issues, once again, internet issues in our area for almost a week now. And we're trying to get through and probably going to keep this pretty brief today, simply because continuing to freeze up and for you have to watch my visage freezing, not be able to hear me consistently is frustrating. So what we'll do is probably cover this week's topic along with next week's topic, but just chat for a few minutes here and ask you how your holidays were. If you have an opportunity to put any information in the chat about how your holidays went, if you're a person who celebrates Christmas, how that went, if you celebrate Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, any of the other holidays, how has your holiday celebrating been going? We kind of wrap that up now in the next day or two, as today is New Year's Eve, tomorrow being New Year's. And for some people, because New Year's falls on the Sunday, have Monday as a holiday as well. And then we start to get back into the routine, don't we? So yeah, it's always interesting at the holidays. It's one of those things for me. I look forward to it. I'm excited to have family and we all get here and it's a wonderful chaos. We have all together, including Carol and me, we have a total of 13 people in our house for the holidays this year. All the family here and friend of the family. And we're trying to find room for everybody and space to spread out and do our thing. And with the internet now, it makes it one of the things that you can do with when you have the grandkids, you stick them in front of a fun holiday movie, or you let them get on devices for a little bit to play a game. Much more difficult when the internet, we recognize just how much we rely on that internet connection. Recognizing it this morning with trying to get this to work, but hopefully your holidays have gone well. And it was moderator cat again, Christopher doesn't have issues. The issues have him. But yeah, hope everybody has had a great time and looking forward to the new year. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about this year in review, and I'm going to spend a few minutes sharing a few things. And again, kind of keep it going for a few minutes here, and we'll recap again next time. But this was a big year for us. 2022 is definitely a year of memory. One of the gifts that I always give to Carol every year, the last several years, you know, you can go online through there are different that do this, Snapfish, and Walmart even does it. A number of companies that you can go online and create your own photo books or memory books, different events or whatever you want to do. And for the last several years, I have created for Carol, as part of her Christmas gift, a memory book of the year in review with pictures of our family gatherings and things that we've done and things to just kind of go back and that nostalgia, and to go back and remind yourself of where we were and what we were doing and how much of it to this year. Because sometimes it just seems like it all runs together, right? By the time you get to December, you're kind of looking at the year and going, did we actually do that this year, or was that last year, or who was there for that thing? So to kind of gather those photos and captions, and in some cases even, you know, scans of a document that might have been relevant to that, stick those in there. This year was a full book. The way our year went, I always also have to stop the book for the year right after Thanksgiving, so that I have time to actually get it to the publisher, get it back in time to give it to Carol for Christmas. And so that each book starts with the previous year's Christmas, because that's kind of where we leave off, and then goes through Thanksgiving of the current year. And this year started with our last Christmas gathering in California before we moved. And then, you know, Carol retired last year from her job. I retired at the beginning of this year, so that was our year in review. But just this entire year and everything, it was interesting creating Carol's memory book. It's interesting for me to go back and look at the year. And I see Christy on here talking about writing that Christmas letter. A lot of people do that instead of sending out Christmas cards. We'll create sort of a family letter they send out to friends, kind of things that the family did over the course of the year. And you find some years have you ever found, if you do that, some years, particularly for members of the family, for some of your kids or grandkids or whatever, you're kind of going, let's see, what did they do this year that I can put in the letter? And then other times there's so many, you're going, page 3 now of the holiday letter, page 4, because there's just so much that's packed in. Kind of the way our year was, which started with, and I'm curious, by the way, if you can see me and you want to put comments in the chat, what were the big highlights of your year? Put them in the chat. What were the big things that happened this year? For some people, it might have been a wedding in the family. I know that's true for some of you. It might have been the birth of a child or a grandchild, or more than one. Could have been a move, could have been a change in job status. For us, it was retirement. We moved from the week after I retired, my last day at my job, the movers came in to our place in California like 3 days later to stop. We were on the road a few days after that and working our way out of California, Northern California, into Oregon, visiting with family and friends on the way through Oregon, and then into Spokane, Washington, arriving at my brother-in-law, sister-in-law's house, Carol's brother's house, where we stayed for the next 4 months in their basement while we were trying to determine what our steps were going to be to see if we could find a place to live. And we weren't sure. We thought it could take more than a year to find our own house. That's another thing that happened this year. In April, we actually found a house that we were able to secure. And by the beginning of June, it took us a while because there were some things that we had to get ready in the house. A few weeks later, we were moved into our new house, bought a house here in Spokane. We also had trips that work. In April, while we were in the process of closing, getting ready to close on this house, we had a trip planned with two of our grandsons back to the East Coast, a 2-week trip to the East Coast that included Massachusetts. We were in Lexington, Massachusetts for what's called Patriots Day in April. It's the 19th of April when the battles of Lexington and Concord fought, and we got to watch the reenactments of the battles. We were in Boston. We were in New York. We were in Philadelphia. We were in Washington, D.C. with our grandsons. Big trip, huge trip in the midst of everything else that was going at the beginning of this year. We went through our own family issues with COVID. We had family members together for our daughter's master's degree graduation, and family came into town right after we moved into our house. And we had a COVID outbreak that a number of members of the family got and ended up, when they got home, testing positive. We had COVID and had to go into our own isolation and it was after managing to get through a couple of years COVID free and being fully vaccinated and everything else. What are you going to do? We had, in addition to travel at the beginning of the year, Carol took our daughter Shalane as a reward for her master's degree graduation, took her to Scotland for a week. They were there. They were in Scotland when Queen Elizabeth died in Scotland. So, these big things that happen that are both family oriented and kind of happening on the world stage at the same time that you're in the middle of. Carol and I, in just a couple of months ago, not long ago, a few weeks ago, end of October, beginning of November, took a trip to New York and the bunch of things in New York, saw a number of people, got to spend time with friends, got to see several shows, and it was just a ton of fun. Christy, you were one of the people that I think I knew was going through a lot of change with the grandbaby issue. So thank you for posting that. Georgie Dwyer, welcome. I know you're late, but that's okay. You're here. And again, just mentioning to everybody, internet issues in our area here the last several days, including today. So you may have signals as we chat this morning, and appreciate your patience and your participation. But just talking a little about this year, what were the big highlights of 2022? It's weird because not this, especially since 2020, that time sort of mushed together and there's this amalgam of events and time ever since the big COVID outbreak and all of our time spent in isolation in 2020. 2020 became this year almost this enigmatic year in the we look back at things happened in 2018 or 2019 and it was really that long ago. It's almost like we skipped over a year or two. And so 2020 on right now, and just so much into it. I actually go, I see 2020. I can kind of vision that within that big magnifying glass microscope, whatever we look at these years with. But the other thing is, I also find, we'll a little bit more next week, as I'm ending one year and getting ready to go to the next, particularly since 2020, I entered next year with a little more trepidation than I used to. It used to be, Carol used to roll her eyes at me and say, don't say this. I used to say, I wonder what, as we come to a new year, I'd always say, I wonder what's going to happen this year. I found myself ever since so much saying that, because there is a little bit more caution and trepidation. You see it in some of the posts that people put on social media. That's like, don't rush to this year. Let's take it a step at a time, because every time we think we're going into the year and everything's going to be okay, there's something else that's coming up. The reality is, the something else has come up every year. 2020 and really going into 2021 with COVID and all that came through, the things that were happening in the world, happening in our country in those couple of years, there's so much that we ended up sort of looking at events that happen under an entirely different lens. We ended up being, I think we were a bit in shock, weren't we? And so now we tend to look at our years in review, our year in review, a year ahead, with a little more. I think we're still a little shaky. It's kind of like the aftermath of an earthquake, where you're not sure if ground is even after the earthquake is. We had major year earthquake, not well in some cases, some parts of the world early. But we've gone through this emotional earthquake of the things that happened around us and with us and to us and through us. And so there's a little more trepidation about how we are year in review in the year ahead. In addition to our travel, moving Spokane, we have made and reconnect people, made new connections. We found new places to go and had experiences that weren't part of being in California. So we had a number of those experiences. Family to visit, grandkids come visit, doing things in the area with grandkids, other family coming to visit us here and having experiences with them. Having family right up the my brother-in-law Alan and sister-in-law Kathy, and they are 5 away from us. And so being able to spend time with them on a regular basis. Yeah, I know the audio is going to be breaking up. Everything's going to be breaking up. We're gonna come here pretty soon. It's interesting to look back on the year. And again, we're going to take time to take today's topic that's being interrupted, and we're going to take next week's topic about the new year and kind of look at them together. I'm very hopeful, very confident that our internet is. So with that in mind, I'm really but I'm going to bring today's conversation to close. We've gone for almost, and I appreciate your patience because I know that it's been at best. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being part of the conversation today. And as we get to end the new year, I just want to wish everybody a happy new year. If you have to celebrate tonight, be safe, be careful, and also just make sure that you are looking out for the people around you. You do all the safety, but particularly if you're going to be out on the road. I don't know about the other guy. So thank you for being here. Thank you for being a part of Coffee Break Steve this year. And I also want to special thanks to the production crew and the production team. You see their name here if you can see who are part of this, but Earl and Christopher and who produce and come up with ideas and just helping in so many ways. Carissa, who directs the show, and everybody fill in the blanks to make it happen. I do want to encourage you, help us come up with topics. We've got a lot. Just if you can still see, I'll share that next week we are going to talk about new beginnings. Also, probably a little bit more filling in this the year in review, since the broadcast a little bit screwy today. And then following January 14th, we're going to have a return guest. If you're on a while now, I think it's been over a year. Katie Truesdale owns a very interesting, a unique travel agency called Magical Mystery Tour that helps plan surprise and mystery vacation people. She's also a travel agent, and we're going to talk about travel and how looking in 2023 because of COVID, what's coming back online on the 14th, 21st. that kind of mushy, but Jim Caruso is a producer, a host, and he runs a show in New York, and actually also on the road to other cities in the country. Work called Jim Caruso's Cast Party, where they do an open mic, have some up and coming, some I can perform. And Jim's going to be on to talk about cast parties, to talk about how he got how trying to get entertainers to come in and open mic That's very interesting. And then I'm not going to read through all of these, but this is just coming soon in the first few weeks and months of 2023. We've got a bunch of talk. We've got a variety of guests on. You can see the names and you can see who they are and what they do. And I encourage you to continue to tune in to Coffee in the coming weeks, to continue to be part of the conversation, because we got a lot of fun in the months and weeks and months ahead. Thank you once again for being with us today. And just a reminder, as we end this year and get ready to start a new year, to find a way to make a difference in your world this week, make a difference in your world every opportunity you get. God bless you. Have a great, happy new year.